Welcome on the show, James B. Partridge.
James B. Partridge.
James Partridge.
TikToker with over 100,000 followers. His videos have been seen millions of times. He's sung in Gareth Malone's Voices choir and has sung on songs for Sir Paul McCartney and adverts for Waitrose, Sky, Go Compare and more. Welcome on the show, James B. Partridge. How are you doing today?
Hello, I am doing very well, thank you. Very well, thank you for having me on.
That's great. So if people don't know who you are, explain to them what you do.
Sure. So I am a singing teacher and TikToker slash content creator for online platforms. So online I make a lot of videos based around school and especially songs in school. So I do a lot of reminiscing about the songs that we used to sing in school, and people have duetted to them and commented on them, etc., etc. And then I also do a lot of singing. So I've just started a live show that I am going to do my third show of on Sunday, the 5th of March. This might come out after that, but at the moment of filming, I'm about to do the third show. So very excited for that.
Yeah. Let's go right back to the start. So what were you like as a kid?
Okay, yeah, good question. So as a kid, I was interested in music for sure. So I started piano lessons when I was 5, and I sang in my local church choir. And that kind of my childhood was based around kind of going to I did like the Cub Scouts and all that kind of stuff. So did lots of activities. I had 3 brothers growing up, so we always kind of were busy doing things. But a lot of my interests were kind of based around music. And yeah, that was when I was a lot younger. And then I kind of got a bit more serious, started singing in choirs, like other choirs, like the National Youth Choir when I was a bit older. And then, kind of continued doing like choral singing, as well as doing some pop stuff and loved musical theatre and all of that. So a lot of my childhood was based around music.
Yeah. So what did your parents do? And how did that influence you?
Yeah, so my parents were both teachers. My dad was a languages teacher, but he loves music. He's a huge music fan. So as you can see, there's some vinyl behind me, some records behind me, and he used to love introducing us to different bands and different music. So and my mum was an English and drama teacher. So she kind of left teaching for a while when we were growing up, because there were 4 of us that were under the age of 5, so it was always a bit of a crazy household. And we didn't have a massive house or anything, so it was a lot of work. They both were very encouraging in terms of taking me to music lessons, and having the radio on in the house all the time, and especially from my dad introducing me to bands and albums and all that kind of stuff. So when my parents were teachers, I said, I'd never be a teacher when I grow up. I never want to be a teacher when I grow up. And to be fair, I'm still not a classroom teacher. I teach singing in schools. I teach, but it is hard. It is hard when I take like a group of kids and they don't want to pay attention. So you might be able to relate to that. I don't know.
Yeah. So what did you want to be at the primary school age?
That's a good question. I think when I was that age, yeah. I wanted to be. I knew I didn't want to be in sports. I was never good at sports. So my dad used to take me to a football club on a Saturday morning, and I would stand there shivering on the pitch at 11 a.m. and I think he quickly realized, okay, this isn't for him. So I knew it was nothing to do with sports. But I think to be honest, I wanted to be Robbie Williams. I wanted to be like a pop singer.
Okay.
So because that was my kind of idol growing up, and yeah, basically I wanted to be a pop singer. So I kind of went into when we'd gone on holiday to these campsites, I would do the karaoke bit and as part of the kids club and all of that kind of stuff. I don't think I ever really wanted to be a musical performer necessarily, as in like in musical theatre, but I always loved musical theatre growing up.
Yeah.
Um, so and then I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a journalist when I was a bit older. And I don't know if you have to do this at school, but there was one thing that we had, which was like a careers advisor would come around and say,
Yeah, yeah.
these are the careers that you could do, and and we had to log on to these ancient computers that are probably relics from the 80s, and then I had to do this really kind of random test, like personality test, and it tells you it told you what you were going to be when you're older, and mine said like yoga teacher or nurse. It said yoga teacher or nurse. And I was like, what? That's so random. Um, but uh, neither of those things came true. So
Yeah,
uh, yeah, very random.
that's weird. We did basically the exact same thing. It was like a BuzzFeed quiz kind of thing,
Oh yeah,
and it
yeah,
and
yeah,
it just told us like what career you're gonna do.
yeah. And the thing is, it didn't take into account any of your interests or anything that you're actually good at.
No,
Um, so yeah, I always took the careers advice with a pinch of salt. So
yeah.
that's my message for anyone taking this careers test. You might not end up doing what you get told on those machines.
So like when you left like secondary school, was your plan to
Yeah.
become a musician?
When I left secondary school, I knew I wanted to study music, so I studied music at university. Again, I was kind of for a while I was thinking like I'd love to do more writing. I was really interested in English, so I did like English A levels, and English, to be honest, was one of my best. That was my best subject in GCSE and also A level, English and history actually. And I thought that I'd like to study English and be
Yeah,
more of a writer. But then actually I thought, well, I do have a real passion for music, and I kind of wanted to keep music, my love of music, as a passion rather
yeah,
than something that I studied academically. So I had to kind of balance and weigh up whether, to be honest, I kind of saw it as I think I am probably a bit better at music in terms of my passion for it, but I was better at English in terms of my actual like results.
yeah,
So, so I went with my passion, and I ended up getting a place to do music at university. So yeah, that's when I decided that I wanted to study music, but I didn't really know what I wanted to be after it. I just knew that I wanted to study
yeah.
music and be doing that in some form.
Because you went to Cambridge University, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So, and funnily enough, my careers teacher said, "Don't bother applying for Oxford and Cambridge because you'll never get in," um, because of my GCSE results. So that's another message. If anyone else is watching this and they haven't quite got the GCSE results that they wanted, and they think, "Oh, maybe I won't get in to this university," just give it a go. You might as well have a
Yeah,
go and apply, because you get five choices. I think that's still the case. You get five choices, and if you don't get into the top, even if you don't get into the top four, hopefully you can get into number five. So I would say always kind of reach big if you can, dream big, and you never know what will happen, I suppose.
yeah. Like you said about keeping music as your passion. Were you
Yeah.
ever tempted like not to go to like down the university route and go straight into trying to make music into like a job?
Um, yeah, well, basically, I never knew anyone that had done anything other than university. And I think at the
Okay.
school I went to, we weren't really told like what a gap year was, for example. I never knew what a gap year was. I never even
Yeah.
heard of it until I went to university. And then there are loads of people there that were like, "Oh yeah, when I was on my gap year, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, so a gap year is something that people from other schools did." But I honestly didn't know anyone that did a gap year. I knew plenty of people that left school and went into a job rather than university. Um, but in terms of music, it is so hard to actually find work as a musician straight out of school, unless you're really, really talented, because you kind of need to build up some contacts and connections, as well as building up your skills. And if you're 18 leaving school or 16 leaving school, it's really hard to be able to find any work unless you're on your own, kind of doing your thing, and you are very talented and very driven. So I think it does take a little bit of time to build up your connections and build up who you know, for sure.
Yeah. So like when you were at the point of graduating university, did you still not know what you wanted to do?
No, I didn't really. I left university, and the one thing that I knew that I wanted to do was to move to London, because I'm not from London originally. I'm from Poole
Yeah.
in Dorset, and I went to university, and pretty much everyone I knew was moving to London, and I just thought London's the place to be, especially if you want to get into music. I can do like
Yeah.
open mics, go to pubs and bars, and go to open mics and play my guitar, play my songs, etc. And I moved to London without a job, which is kind of scary. And I just thought, I'll do whatever. I don't really care if I'm standing on a street corner, like holding a sign for McDonald's. So I don't care what I do. I just want to live in London. And so I got some like temp jobs, and eventually I got a job working for a music company. And actually that turned out not to be what I wanted to do. And I think sometimes you just have to do stuff, and then
Yeah,
you
just test
by doing
around.
stuff, exactly, by testing the waters, by doing stuff, then you kind of get an awareness of what you actually want to do. And for me, that wasn't what I was doing, which was basically uh, I was I was working in a music company, but the work I was doing was very basically being like a IT tech support person, which
Yeah.
was so it's not like related to music at all.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, when did you find that thing in the music, like that job that you wanted to do in the music industry?
Yeah. So while I was working uh, at this workplace in the office doing the technical support stuff, I saw an email through, I think it was through, because I used to sing in the National Youth Choir when I was younger, and I think it was sent through that. And there was an opportunity for an audition. And I don't know if you've heard of Gareth Malone, but he was
Yeah.
a choir master on TV, and he
Yeah.
at the time was very kind of popular. He was kind of everywhere, and he was looking for a choir of young people aged between, I can't remember what the ages were. It was like 16 or 17 through to 21 or something, or 22, 23. And I was 21 or 22 at the time. So it's kind of like a young choir of people to kind of change the concept of choir singing from being about, when you think of a choir, you might sometimes think of old people singing in a choir,
Yeah.
which obviously is totally fine, but it wouldn't necessarily attract young people. So I auditioned for that.
Oh,
I got
wow.
into that choir. So there was only, I think there were only like I think 12 to 14 of us in the choir, I think, something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
So it's quite a small number of people, and it's very exciting because we got this record uh, deal or whatever it was would be called, and we recorded an album in these amazing studios, and which was put out on a record label. And so they said, in a year's time or in 9 months' time, we're going to go on a tour around the UK. And so I carried on working this job until that tour came up, and then I handed in my notice and said, "Sorry, I'm going to go on tour, singing." And so I left the job. I did the tour, and once the tour finished, I then had a little bit of time where I didn't really know what I was going to do, and then I kind of got more into teaching. I thought that's where a lot of my passions lied, um, and I also got into doing some more singing. So I was singing in like a group that does like weddings and parties and all that kind of stuff, which I still do, on the side as well to this day. So yeah, that's where the change point happened for me.
Yeah. It's like, how was that going on tour
Yeah,
with Gareth Malone, who's like a big name in the British music space? Like, how was that
yeah.
experience?
I mean, it was everything I kind of had dreamed of for sure, because we had photo shoots which were very fancy, and we went to these massive venues. For example, as I said, I grew up in Poole, and the biggest venue in the local area is the BIC, the Bournemouth International Centre. And so I'd seen bands like Fall Out Boy and other big rock bands playing there, and we were on that stage, the same stage,
Oh, wow.
and
That must have
we
been
were
a
there.
surreal moment.
It was, and I got to do a couple of solos in the show. So I kind of went out and did a solo, me standing alone, spotlight coming down, microphone in hand, in front of an audience of a couple of thousand people in this arena, essentially. So that was definitely an extremely surreal moment. I thought, oh yeah, this is fun. This is fun. Yeah. So that for me was kind of a very surreal moment. And when that tour finished, there was at the time there wasn't really any kind of indication that anything else would happen with the group. So
Yeah.
me and four other members of the group got together and we formed like an a cappella group. And then we kind of did a few gigs with that, and we did a festival, and then that kind of fell apart eventually. But yeah, it was an amazing experience doing that tour for sure.
Yeah, so like, did any other opportunities lead on from doing that choir?
Well, I think, as I said, in terms of like as a musician, a lot of it is making connections and meeting people,
Yeah.
and actually from the choir, I made some really really close friends, and also reconnected with some old friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. So and just kind of seeing the inner workings of like the music industry in a way. So we did some amazing events. Like we went on the Royal Variety Show, and
Oh
so we
wow.
met all these world famous artists. Met Robbie Williams, for example, who was my idol. So yeah, and we did the Royal Variety Show. We did like Children in Need on live on stage with the Electric Light Orchestra, and um yeah, we had, and then actually from that I'd made some connections, and I got to sing with the London Youth Choir. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a really great organization, and I sang with them for a bit, and with them I got to sing with the Rolling Stones. So it was some of these just amazing opportunities that came up. um so yeah, it all kind of linked in really, but I still, to this day, I'm still friends with some of those people from the choir.
Yeah. And you also got you've also been a session singer on
Yeah.
some records from Paul McCartney. You also adverts from a number of different brands. So like how did then things happen?
Yeah, so I sang with basically there's a course, there's like a singing course that you can go on, and you don't actually have to audition for it, and it's called like the Rodolphus courses. And those basically allowed me to meet lots of other singers my age. And when I grew up at school, singing was definitely not a cool thing at all to do. So, I was setting up my own barbershop group at school, and only a few people would join. So singing was definitely not cool. And I found these courses through a post, I think, on the wall of the music department. Someone had put a poster for it, apply for this. And so I applied for for the course. And I went to it, and I kind of met all these people who loved singing, and they were my kind of age. And I thought, oh, I found my people, I found my tribe. And so out of those courses, you can get kind of handpicked to be in a little group called Rodolphus Choir. And that little group is kind of like a session group of singers. So there's like a database of, I don't know how many singers are on it, but you'd get an email every month or whatever with all these opportunities. And quite a lot of the opportunities would be like singing for, we need 6 singers to sing for the Go Compare advert or something like that, or we need some singers to sing backing vocals um, for this singer, or work for Sky TV or whatever it is. So a lot of these opportunities came from that. And actually, on that course was where Paul McCartney had written a piece for us, and so he actually
Oh wow.
came to the performance, and so we got to chat to him and hang out with him, and that was again an extremely surreal moment for us.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And then so you continued doing teaching and a bit of other music stuff on the side. And then you started TikTok. So when and why did you decide to start TikTok?
So I was doing lots of teaching in schools, and then obviously COVID happened and lockdown happened, and we couldn't do teaching in person. And I went online with my lessons. So I was doing singing lessons online, which for any teachers out there would know, it's actually quite hard to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
kids' attentions. Well, as you know, as a pupil yourself, um, so it's quite hard to keep people's attentions, especially when they're quite often using the same device to learn to do this homeschool learning that they're using to play Fortnite, or or watching TikTok. So I
Yeah.
thought, here's a good way of combining that, and so I made backing tracks for my pupils. And the reason I did that was because actually playing piano over Zoom, there's a bit of a delay. There's like a
Yeah.
1 second delay or something, so it's actually really hard to keep in time. So I'd make these backing tracks, I put them online, and then eventually on my YouTube channel, and eventually I thought, oh, I'll make some like singing lessons that I can put online. So I put up a few singing lessons online, and I thought, one of my friends said, oh, have you checked out TikTok? it's quite a fun app. And I thought, oh, it's just for people dancing and stuff. So I wasn't really like, and in the first wave of people going on TikTok in 2020 and 2019, because that I feel like that was slightly more like based around dance and based around doing the miming and stuff. And then I got on. I thought I'll make like 1 minute um, versions of these YouTube singing lessons. So I started doing that, and then eventually I started branching out and doing a bit more. And then I put out this video, which was the top 10 primary school assembly bangers. So these are the songs I sang at school, and then it kind of went a bit crazy from there.
Yeah, as you said about being a teacher online, my dad's actually a piano teacher, and
Is he?
I saw his frustrations trying
Mm.
to set up like Teams calls and trying to do lessons over Zoom. It was very difficult. He was
Yeah,
glad when you were allowed to go back and do in-person
yeah.
lessons.
I mean, in some ways, it was kind of easier in that, I can just sit here. I've got my piano here in front of me. I could sit here at my
Yeah.
piano. I could, if my first lesson was at 8:30, I'd wake up at 8:15, put the kettle on, make sure I put some clothes on. Very important, to do that, and then make a cup of tea, and then I'd sit here for the first lesson. And quite often, a cat would jump on my lap, and that would kill a bit of time during the lesson, and break the ice a little bit. But yeah, teaching online was definitely quite hard.
Yeah. So as you said, you tried multiple different things, and then you landed on this primary school banger. So how long did that take you from like when you started TikTok to when you posted that top 10 primary school bangers video?
Not that long, to be honest. I did my first ever TikTok video it was March 1st, 2021. That was my first TikTok video.
Ah,
And then I was posting these singing tips, a few kind of funny music teacher skits online. And then I did a little bit of music theory, so learning like kind of slightly more educational. And a couple of those videos did quite well. And then I went home, and it's the Easter holidays, so I went home and I did a little video about Easter hymns. So like these are 5 hymns from Easter, top 5 hymns from Easter time, and that got probably my highest views of the time. I thought, oh, interesting. What else could I put up that's similar? And one of my friends had just got married, and I'd played some of these primary school hymns at his wedding, and we kind of had a chat about them before, and we were kind of reminiscing on those. Hymns and those songs from school. And I thought, oh, it'd be great if we did like a top 10 of it. So I just made a video of top 10 primary school assembly bangers, and it kind of went a bit crazy.
yes. Like in the number of views, how successful did that get that video?
Well, the interesting thing about that was I wasn't really doing very much. My Twitter was basically kind of dead. I didn't really do much on that, and I didn't really do much on Facebook, and I did a bit on Instagram, but not really very much. So at the time, I was mostly just doing TikTok. And then I posted it on TikTok, and just started going crazy. And some random person had just saved it off of TikTok and put it on Twitter. And I think it
Okay.
was like he was a teacher. He put it on Twitter and said some absolute bangers here. So I think some people thought that he had made it, but he just saved it off there and put it on Twitter. And then his tweet got like 2 million,
Oh
like the
wow.
video got like 2 million plays or something. And then my
Oh,
my video on TikTok was getting like 800,000 views or something.
oh wow.
And then it got picked up by some of the meme accounts. So a couple of the like meme accounts posted it on their pages, and then BuzzFeed did a little list, and it was like, I don't know, 10 times the Brits are funny. I can't even remember what the headline was. 10 times that the Brits can never fail to be funny or something. And then so they put my video up there as well, and it was
Wow.
shared on Instagram. So I posted on Instagram, but it was shared by a couple of people like Zoella. She shared it,
Oh wow.
and like did at Joe Sugg kind of thing, like kind of. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I think Roman Kemp shared it as well.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I had some amazing shares.
So are you a bit sad that you didn't post it on Twitter yourself and got like 2 million views?
Well, to be honest, I think had I posted it on Twitter, nobody would have seen it because no one was really engaging with my content on there. So
Okay.
in a way, I didn't really mind, to be honest. It's fine, and so people were just sharing his post of it, which was fine. I didn't really mind too much, but I was kind of like trying to like all of the comments and say, oh, it's actually me that it's actually me that made the video.
If you're enjoying the interview so far, please do subscribe because there will be more interesting interviews with interesting people every 2 weeks on Sunday at 1 o'clock. So let's get back to the interview. Yeah. So like, if someone asked what your job was now, what would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, because I would say that I'm a teacher,
Okay.
even though a lot of my time is spent doing content creation.
Yeah.
I think because there's probably still a bit of a stigma around making stuff online and
Yeah.
making videos, and unless you are like a full-time creator, it's quite hard to actually say that's part of your job. So I would say that I was a musician and a teacher, because to be fair, most of my time is spent doing lessons at the moment. But by doing that content creation, it's kind of built up a bit of an audience online, and now I'm transitioning into doing live shows, and
Yeah.
the live shows are kind of based off of my videos that I've made. So
Yeah.
actually, it kind of all it and so there's a bit of educational stuff in there. Like there's a lot of funny moments. It is quite a funny show, and there's some like sing-alongs. So instead of duetting on your phone, you can read the lyrics on your phone and sing along in person. So that's kind of the idea of the show. So yeah, no, it's nice, and it does kind of tie in together. But I still wouldn't necessarily say I was a content creator, because I think the people that are proper full-time content creators, their videos are very, very good and very well made.
Yeah, so you mentioned about your concerts that you're doing now. So how has
Yeah.
that been going? How many have you done now?
So I did one last year, which was kind of just testing the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and I had a couple of, well, I had a friend doing a few songs, and my brother, who's a musical theatre performer, he did a few songs as well. And we did some duets, but there wasn't really like a real theme to the show.
Okay.
Uh, but I was doing like the primary school assembly bangers as well. But I've kind of gone away and reworked it and actually written it as like a full show, so that it's not just kind of like song after song after song. There is a lot of kind of like chat in between, and like
Ah,
there's like a theme running through of like reminiscing
okay.
on our school teachers and singing in schools and all of this kind of stuff. So I did this year. I've done 2 shows so far in February, and they went really well. They actually went better than I expected they would. And to be honest, I didn't even think I'd sell out one show, and I ended up selling out 2 in this
Oh,
piano
wow.
bar. And now I booked in some more shows, and I've already sold out a couple of those ones as well. So it's yeah, really exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes.
So it's not just like a concert, it is a full like show with it's not just song, song, song.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit interactive. Well, it's very interactive in that you can sing along to it, and there's a few moments that you can. I get a couple of volunteers up, and there's a lot of kind of like funny reflections on teaching in lockdown, actually, and memories from primary school, and then I kind of interweave that with all these sing-alongs. So that's the
Yeah.
idea.
So as you said about like teaching and content creations, how is your time split
Mm.
between the two main things that you do?
To be honest, at the moment, my time is pretty much mostly teaching.
Okay.
And so I'm usually, so at the moment I'm teaching in 4 schools, which is quite a lot. So
Oh,
I
wow.
go into these schools, I cycle around and go into the schools and teach one-on-one lessons generally. And then I do some after school teaching as well. And then in whatever time I've got left, I'll try and record a few videos and then edit them and then put them online, as well as trying to like organize these show dates and stuff. So it is quite full on. So I'll probably eventually I will kind of cut down on the amount of teaching I'm doing, and then hopefully focus a bit more on content creation and a bit more on performing as well.
So like have you made any like money directly from TikTok?
Yeah, so I signed up to the Creator Fund, which you can do after a certain number of followers, and then you get a little bit of money per view.
It's
And
very little, isn't it?
when I say a little bit of money, it's like a
It's like
percentage of
one.
a penny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you get 1 million views, you can make about £10, something like that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's very, very little compared
Yeah.
to YouTube, where you can make some serious money.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not anywhere near that level. But you know, the people with loads and loads of subscribers on YouTube are making serious money.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
like
not anywhere near that yet.
is your plan with the content creation to move it to use that audience you've got on TikTok to do these live concerts, live shows?
I think so. Yeah, I think probably that's the case because, to be completely honest, I think I'm better in that context than I am as a video creator.
Okay. Yeah,
As
yeah.
much as I love, you know, as much as I love making videos and as much as I love putting them out, I think that by getting now that we can actually do this after obviously all that time of people being locked away, now that we can do this, I think that this is a really great way to connect with people in person. And you know, as nice as it is to connect with people online, actually connecting with people in person is just, you can't really compare it, I
Yeah.
don't think. So I think really probably at the moment I would lean towards the content creation is hopefully kind of leaning kind of pushing the live stuff as well.
Yeah, and along with that live stuff, do you have any aspirations to release like your own music? I
Mm,
saw you release piano chat tracks of some of them primary school
yeah.
songs. Is the plan to release ones with you singing on them?
I actually did record all of those tracks with me singing on them as well, but I kind of feel like there is possibly some kind of copyright issues that I'd have to deal with. So
Uh,
I actually I didn't release them. So they're still on my computer. I've still got them on my computer, but and in terms of original material, yeah, actually have written loads of my original stuff, but I just have never really put it out and pushed it. Um, and eventually, hopefully, I could do a bit more of that and maybe write some more
yeah,
stuff. But it is hard. I think if you want to be a singer-songwriter, it's really, really hard to find your niche. And I think
yeah,
I've kind of found my niche now. And and actually, I do have an original song in the show. But it's kind of like, it's not like a song as you might think of it. It's kind of a bit of a comedy song in a way.
okay, yeah,
It's a bit of like a comedy song, so it still works. And no, I've actually got two original songs. I've got one original song which is more of a comedy thing, and I've got another original song which is a song I actually wrote for some of my pupils. So
oh,
yeah, so I'm kind of like starting to move into that, and I would love to write more songs for schools as well. I think that would be a great way to move into.
yeah. So what is the favorite thing about what you do?
Um, right now, it has been, as in over the past month, it has been a couple of months. It's been working on this live show. I love doing all my teaching. It can be very tiring.
Yeah.
Doing you know, teaching in 4 schools, so I do find that quite tiring. But the um, the show stuff I think is probably going to be where it's at in terms of my focus, especially later in the year. I'd love to do some Christmas shows as well. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
So what is your least favorite thing about what you do?
Okay. So this is quite tough, but probably my least favorite thing is I run a kids singing club at one of the schools,
Okay.
and so I love, you know, I love teaching singing. I love teaching groups of singing, but some of the younger ones are about 5 years old,
Oh wow.
and so it's very, very young. I think even a couple of them were 4, and
Oof.
it was too much. It's
I,
that can be very
I can
tricky.
imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very tricky.
Yeah. Just controlling them all and then
Mm,
getting them to sing as well.
yeah.
Um, so what is the favorite, like, what is your favorite TikTok you've made?
Oh, well, I made some quite fun TikToks which were um a bit more educational actually, which I found very interesting. They didn't get anywhere near as many views as some of the other stuff, but I made a couple about like classical music. I made one about the film composer John Williams, on where was he influenced by classical music, or did he steal the themes? That was quite a good one. I guess in terms of the most impactful one, it would have to be the top 10 primary school assembly bangers video, because that just completely
Yeah.
changed everything. Yeah, in
Yeah.
terms of the online stuff. And I tried to move after I did that first video. I tried to move away from it quite quickly, and I tried to do some other things, but nothing ever kind of stuck as well as that. So eventually, I
Yeah.
kind of went back and started making a few more, just like individual videos of like some of the songs and things. And some of them are really obscure. Some of them are very, very niche. But there is that kind of niche of people that are quite into it and and do like the songs.
So are you worried about like there's a point where you've like played and made videos about all of the primary school songs? Are you worried about what you will do then?
Um, yes and no. Yes, I probably will get to the point where I've played most of them, and I think, to be honest, I already have. And I don't want to kind of just oversaturate it, and that's kind of why I wanted to have the concept of the live show as a bit more chat in between, so I can kind of take hopefully some of that content and repurpose it, and hopefully upload some of that onto YouTube as well, and upload it onto TikTok. And so I know that for a lot of performers, a good way of getting yourself out there is to upload clips from your live shows and
Yeah.
upload them, put captions on it and things like that.
Yeah. So you're saying about expanding into them live shows, but do you want to expand more into that long form content, like more like YouTube videos?
Yeah, I think really, if you want to be successful as a content creator, you kind of have to have
Yeah.
good long form content. And
That seems like
I,
where most like TikTokers are going into YouTube long form content.
yeah, and it's hard because I think if you are a long form content creator on YouTube and you go the other way, it's harder in a way, because you are quite often just like taking clips of your long form content and just putting those
Yeah.
clips on there. I think because it's a lot more
Yeah.
time consuming, because it takes way longer to make a long form content video than it does to make a TikTok video. So, but if you're a TikToker trying to go the other way, you already have if you've got a bit of an audience, hopefully that audience will come over to your YouTube.
Yeah.
But you do then have to rethink how you make videos and how you do it. Because I think I couldn't really do vlogging videos because a lot of my time is spent in school, so I couldn't really like go in and film what I do in schools.
No.
So I mean, that wouldn't really be allowed. So yeah, no, I think eventually it'd be great to do that. And I almost thought maybe I could do that if if I'm traveling around the country playing shows and stuff. I could actually make some kind of vloggy content for that.
Yeah.
But if I had all the time in the world and all the energy and resources, I would love to do. I started a YouTube channel about 7 years ago, and it was me talking about different aspects of music. So I had a video about classical music, and that was like 10 minutes long. I had a video about the Beatles. I had a video about folk music, and that was more of an educational thing. And I think eventually I would love to do more of that kind of stuff again.
Yeah.
And it would almost feel like little educational 10-minute videos. There's a guy called John Green. He made a load of those kind of videos about history and all sorts of stuff. And I think that kind of thing would work really well for music. And it's not really been done. So I'd love to do that kind of thing. It's just finding the time and the energy and the resources to do it.
Yeah.
So I think if all of this stuff kind of picks up and I can drop some of the teaching stuff, then I would love to focus back on making long form content, because it can actually reach so many people, if you make good content.
Yeah.
Content.
So like you said about maybe vlogging, like traveling around the UK. Actually, I really enjoyed another podcast, Happy Hour. The Happy Hour podcast did a live show, and one of the presenters from there vlogged the whole experience, did a vlog every day, and it was really interesting just to see like what touring is like. Even if you're not interested in what the show is, it's really interesting to see what touring is like.
That's really interesting. I'll definitely try and check that out, and then I can maybe do my own thing around it. A lot of it will probably just be traveling or being in a car. So,
yeah. So Do you worry about your audience being in the hand of this algorithm, your TikTok, the thing you've built for the last 2 years, being in the hands of an algorithm and a multi-billion-dollar corporation?
Or in terms of the reach of it, do you mean?
No, like as in if the algorithm changed one
Sure.
day and then your
Yeah.
videos weren't shown to the people anymore and your views just dropped.
Yeah, that's a real worry, I think, for a lot of people. And I think by diversifying and posting over different platforms, that's probably why people are doing it more often. So when you see TikTokers getting more into YouTube vlogging and things like that, that's probably why, just to kind of safeguard yourself against, let's say, because the TikTok algorithm has changed a lot, and TikTok
Yeah.
as a platform has changed a lot, and I don't necessarily think for the better. Um, so I think that's also why I'm kind of diversifying by posting across different platforms, and also getting a live show going, because by getting those human connections, then that will create word of mouth, which wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily be created as much. Well, the algorithm basically kind of replicates word of mouth in a way, because it's like your friend liked this video or whatever, so it will show it to
Yeah,
other people
yeah,
that have similar interests to you. But there's only so far that can go, really, I think. An actual physical word of mouth of people saying, you must come and see this, or you must check out this guy online, actually can go a long way. Um, so I think, yeah, I am a bit worried about it, but also I think as a content creator, you do have to just kind of try and safeguard yourself against that by diversifying.
yeah. You were talking about diversifying there.
Yeah.
So have you posted like your TikToks over on YouTube Shorts, because they've done a big push on YouTube Shorts at the moment, and now they've
Mm.
introduced ads on it, and you're supposed to be able to earn more on YouTube Shorts over like TikTok. So have you started doing that or not?
Yeah, yeah. So I've been posting pretty much most of my TikTok videos on YouTube Shorts, and when I make a video, I try to uh, have it as something that can be posted on TikTok, but also on Instagram Reels. So I don't actually edit
Yeah,
on TikTok, so I edit on a different software,
yeah,
and then I will maybe put some captions or whatever on the screen in each app individually.
yeah.
But yeah, I post the same thing, like post the same thing on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube Shorts. So I just kind of like push it out there and see who's watching. Yeah.
Do do any of them normally do as well as TikTok, or is TikTok usually the best performing one?
It's kind of interesting to see what lands on different platforms, to be honest, because I've actually
Yeah,
had a couple of videos that have done badly on TikTok and on Instagram Reels, but for some reason on YouTube Shorts, it's got loads of views. So I had
yeah.
a video which was it's a this was like a really random video I made, which was like 5 other countries that used the same national anthem theme tune as Britain,
Okay.
and that
I
just
think
got
I
like
saw that one.
fairly low views on TikTok and things. But on YouTube Shorts, I get comments on it every single day from people commenting on it, and it's got getting loads and loads of views. And I thought that's so random that that one video would get a lot of views
Yeah,
on YouTube, and it's because the audience is different. Because the
yeah,
audience on YouTube is a lot more international. Because if you post something as a British content creator on TikTok, it will pretty much only get shown to British or English speaking countries. So
yeah,
it will primarily just get shown to people in the UK, and then it might, if it's doing well there, it might get pushed on to people in the States or Australia. Um, but it definitely won't go to other countries unless it's really, really, really viral and it doesn't have much English language in it. So that's just the way that the TikTok algorithm works. Um, so YouTube's completely different. So on TikTok and Instagram, the vast majority of my followers are from the UK,
yeah.
and those that aren't from the UK are probably Brits living abroad, that are watching abroad. So
Yeah,
um, on YouTube, it's about 50% UK and then 50% around the world. So
yeah. I find, like you said, because I post some clips of the podcast on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and like YouTube, and I find like yeah, certain clips do better on certain platforms, and then
Yeah,
they do like really badly on TikTok and really well on Instagram or whatever.
yeah.
And like you said about the countries, but like TikTok's way of doing that kind of works for you, because when you're making videos about primary school songs, you can't, like, you probably won't get that if you're outside of the UK.
No, no, exactly. So that's why most of my followers are from the UK, and like a lot of the content is like British nostalgia and kind of related to being British. So
Yeah.
yeah, unless you, I mean, some of the songs are sung in other countries, but like not very many, to be honest. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
is. I mean, I slightly shot myself in the foot in a way by having this niche, because
yeah.
obviously, if you're like
Yeah.
a foodie, a food blogger, a food content creator, whatever, everybody around the world eats food. So by
Yeah.
having like really niche videos about like a TV show theme tune that came out for 1 year in like 1994, I mean, that's got a very small audience. But if you are part of that audience, then you're going to really love it. So
But yeah, you have
yeah,
found your, even though it's smaller compared to other TikTok, you
yeah,
have found your niche, and it's
yeah.
if like with the live shows, I hope you
Mhm,
see like it's quite a devoted like
mhm.
community you built.
Well, and community is exactly the right word, actually, and that's what I kind of said during the shows. And I said we've built our own community here of like-minded people that are really into this, and also just the power of singing that now that we can in person is just so strong, and it just makes you feel so much better. And it's just like a really wholesome experience of getting everyone together in a room and singing together. It's really great, and it kind of lifts your spirits as well. So if anything positive comes out of it, then it's just making people feel happy, and like that, those like happy feelings of nostalgia, I think is a really important thing.
Yeah. So that's great. So I've got two final questions for you.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people that who want to be successful on TikTok?
That's a very good question. If you want to be successful on TikTok, there are two ways of going about it. There's one way, which I personally kind of feel is a little bit of a cheat way, and that's by hopping on every trend, reacting to every video, duetting every video, and then you will get seen and it will get pushed out. But you're not
Yeah.
really creating that much original stuff. So I would say that that is one way of doing it, and you will be successful in your own way. But I would say that the second way, which is just make sure that you just make really original content. It doesn't even have to be the most high budget production value, because you see some people's videos and think, wow, how did you make that? That like the edits are insane, the production
Yeah,
value is
yeah,
amazing. Um, but I would say don't be put off by that, because that's why I loved TikTok at first, because it was just so much more natural and real than these like incredibly made YouTube videos.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you could just post something quite raw and real, and it inspires kind of creativity. So I would say go down that second route personally. But if you just want to get numbers, then probably go down the first route, and you will probably get a lot of followers and numbers. So it's, you do you, but I would say probably try and be as creative as you can.
Yeah, and what advice would you give to people who want to succeed in music, either of being a singer or a pianist? What would you say?
I would say honestly, just get yourself out there. Even if you think that you're not the world's best musician in the world, it doesn't matter. I think work on your instrument as much as you can. Get yourself out there. Go to open mics. Go to put your stuff online and just make connections, because the connection is the way you're going to find work. And I wish someone had told me that when I was younger, because you can sit in your room and practice the piano 10 hours a day and you'll be an amazing pianist. But if you don't get out there and meet people and perform, then you're not going to kind of get these opportunities. So I would say, even if you feel scared by the scene, the music scene, um, if you feel scared by other people's talent, then I'm sure they're also scared, and I'm sure they are also worried and self-doubting. So I would say go for it. And most people are very nice. So I would just say go for it and get yourself out there and make connections.
Yeah, that's great advice. So thank you for coming on today. It's been great to talk to you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been really great to chat. Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.
Best of luck.
So hopefully you enjoyed my interview with James B. Partridge. I do want to say a big thank you to James for letting me interview him. If you do want to check out more from James, the link to his TikTok, his shows and his other socials are in the description down below. Also, I do want to say a big thank you for 200 subscribers. It's taken a while to get from 100 subscribers to 200 subscribers, but I'm so happy we're now here. I do also want to say a welcome to all the new subscribers of the show. When I uploaded the last episode, I was on 187 subscribers. Now we're on 221. We've managed to gain an amazing 34 subscribers between the last episode and this episode, which is just incredible. Also, the last episode did really well, so I do want to say thank you to everyone who watched that, and a thanks to Jack who also posted it on his story and shared the interview with his followers. So yeah, thank you for 200 subscribers. That's all we've got time for in this episode. We will be back on the 19th of March at the 1 o'clock with another great interview. Please share this video with your friends and family, like, comment, listen to last week's episode if you haven't already, listen to this show until the end, email me, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe. But in the meantime, if you have any suggestions to make the show better, or if you want the chance to come on the show, comment below, message me on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, or email me at therickhardshow@gmail.com. So that is all we have time for this week. We will be back on the 19th of March at the same time, but for now, goodbye.
Bringing you a kid-friendly radio show every Saturday afternoon on YouTube, broadcasting live at 1 o'clock, broadcasting live at 1 o'clock.